Hello everyone, I'm Fernando Cunha and I'm a PhD student at Free University Amsterdam under the supervision of Professor Bert van Oers. And today I'm going to talk to you about our project, that is the teachers and students on Facebook working in online groups for transformative learning. It's a project developed in Brazil with secondary education students. So when we think about Brazil, we think that Brazil is the country of carnival, it was the country of soccer, and of course the country of monkeys. In Brazil we do have monkeys, but not walking around the streets as you may think here in Europe. What I would like to really talk about here is that Brazil is a land of contrasts. We have cities like São Paulo, it's a metropolis with more than 24 million people living in it. And in the other hand, we have small cities in the countryside with 10,000 inhabitants. This is a picture from my hometown in the south of Minas Gerais. So we can start from here. When it goes to schools, we also have classrooms with smart boards and classrooms with no windows, toilets, or any access to technology, as you can see in the pictures. Starting from that, we have also the problems for implementing changes at school, because usually it's a top-down implementation and students are not considered in this process. So according to Freire, the transformations are only possible when all stakeholders are subjects. So in this case, we need to consider the contributions that students can give as well when thinking about an implementation of something at school. In this scenario, we have the growing access to internet connection and also to the mobile communication devices like tablets, like mobile phones, and etc. So teachers and students are already connected to social networking sites, the SNS, as I will call later in this presentation. And here the objective is to understand how students become collaborative agents in class group on Facebook, and to explore how the use of those groups on Facebook affect communication between teachers and students. Here we call the students as collaborative agents. Why? Because agency has been considered in many works as an individual trait, and also as the power that the subject has to decide what comes next. We think that for transformations in educational settings, agency itself is not enough. So we departed from the concept that Mietnen has developed on collaborative agency, that is that when two or more people work together in order to solve a problem they are not able to solve by themselves, resulting in another product, in a new product. But for the transformations we aim, his concept is limited to this product, so we are not able to use it as it is for educational change. So we think about collaborative agency as a collaborative process where many different participants work together to solve a problem they have in common, not different abilities they have to solve a problem, but they use their agency and they are dependent on the agency of the others to apply what they have learned, what they have developed to a context, or to expand it to another situation. So it's more than only developing a new product, it's developing and applying it to another context, but it's still depending on the other's agency. To understand this collaboration, we are all based on CHAT, the Cultural Historical Activity Theory, and also in my case, we are based in the critical collaborative research that presupposes that all the participants are subjects and they can collaborate in the process. And this kind of research has been used in educational contexts in Brazil for more than 20 years. So it's a well-established concept there, although not very common here in Europe. Our research setting, This presentation is part of a project involving 43 teachers and more than 500 students, and it started in 2013. We deal with secondary education teacher and students, and we have 5 groups of teacher and students on Facebook where they can share information, they can add things to what is discussed in classroom, and they can use in many different ways. It's a voluntary participation, and it's not dependent on any resources from schools. That is, the materials we use, like the computers, tablets, mobile phones, it's all from the students and from the teachers. So we do not depend on the schools, because in Brazil there are schools that still don't have any access to digital technology, and they don't have computer labs, they don't have an internet connection. So we try to avoid this kind of dependency. So again, we are working here, we're considering the data from the 5 groups of teachers and students, that is the posts they have, the interactions they have online, and an online survey that was responded to by the students by the end of the period studied. We analyze the data both qualitatively and quantitatively, and also in the social discursive interaction and conversational analysis. So far we can observe that the communication between teacher and students was affected by using these groups on Facebook. There is an increasing in the number of online interactions between teachers and students. And what is interesting is that the number of posts initiated by the teachers was bigger in the beginning, and the posts initiated by students was bigger in the end of the period. That is, that there was an overlap in the number of posts initiated by the students, which means that students were acting more in the groups than in the beginning. Well, that is, that was the objective of this study, to make them collaborative agents inside the groups. The students realized that the group is a tool for collaborating with the other colleagues. In a quote from one student, if the teacher does not respond, the other colleagues can answer our doubts. So this makes the response time for doubts that the students have faster, because even the teacher can respond to in the group, and also the students can help them. So since I could clarify my doubts faster, I could learn more. This is interesting for a student, because 70% of them reported improvements on their final grades after using the groups, and the numbers from the teachers are very similar, and they rate 72%. So 72% of the students really have an improvement in their final grades. And here is where for us the collaborative agency is really stressed. That when the students started using the groups with other teachers, the students themselves decided that using the groups with the teachers was a good idea, and they together implemented it with other teachers. Here we can see the numbers, just to have an idea of how the interactions in the groups occurred during the period from February 2013 to June 2014. We have a growing number of posts, the interactions in total. Here we see the line in red for the teachers, and the orange line is the number of posts for the students. So we see the growing number and the overlap, as I mentioned before. So concluding, by becoming collaborative agents, the students apply the use of groups with other teachers, what I have just told before. So this is the most important thing, that the students also apply what they have learned to other contexts. They expand what is done in the research context. And there was no interference from the teachers in that process. As social historical beings, a school cannot ignore new technologies and how students are integrated to them. Students already bring knowledge to school. So there is a difference in the teaching learning process, in the common teaching learning process. So the teacher is not the only one who teaches anymore. The students are able to teach, and we should consider that as well. By communicating online with the teachers and students transform the teaching learning, resulting in new educational practice. That was talking about that the students are able to teach, and not only the teacher. And the teacher, while teaching, learns. So that's the most important. And for the sustainability of the project, we consider that it was only possible because the students were involved. So if we want to have a successful project implemented in a school, we should consider all the stakeholders, from the students to the teachers, from the management team to the director, the secretary of education, and so on. It's not possible to be successful if only one level is considered. So that's what I wanted to talk to you. Thank you for your patience with the video. It wasn't possible to me to be present myself, and I would like to thank all the colleagues from the symposium, Antti, Demetris, André, for their patience, and especially Antti for this collaboration with the video and internet connection. Also, I would like to thank Annalisa for her comments, and I'm free to questions and to criticism. Thank you very much. Have a nice time in Cyprus. Goodbye.